$250,000 in losses so far. Both AMC and GME are up 7% today, and that means $258 million are lost for the hashtag short sellers. Thanks, Vortex, for giving us a little bit of good news. And for you guys coming in live, Professor Meatball and I are going to give you the look-see of where, first of all, we are seeing that simple moving average for GME converging right here with that 180 level of support. Yes, it has become support. In the land of stock market trading, we see these flip-flop all the time, but today's level of 180 was a hard one to push past. If you guys want to be able to get your GME and AMC update for today, this is it. We have about 5 minutes left until the markets close, and so this is the most exciting part to look for. Right now, I am looking at GME hungrily right now with a double tight seal with the simple moving average and the 180 mental barrier, as well as a technical resistance that will keep us above 180 for the rest of the day. That's 12.8% up, and we're going to continue rising. Why is that? Well, we're going to do a technical analysis first, and then we're going to cover a little bit of why implied volatility is going to play a big role into that. Second of all, we want to also make sure that you guys have seen AMC's price action today had a couple of $14 rips, right? We got to $14 a couple of times. Right now, we're still messing around just 5 cents shy of $14. Why is someone keeping a concerted lid on AMC's price action? And could that have been the distraction, sorry to use the term, but that GME needed to start running past the gate and start approaching its true price? The one thing you need to know about AMC today is that it has gone that the short interest was 19.55% of the free float that 5 hours ago, right? This was on Ortex. This hour, it has now decreased to 18.35%. So the short interest is getting returned. Short sellers have returned 16.5 million shares during the day. 8.7 million shares have been borrowed. So as the price continues upward, somebody is giving up their AMC shares. So that is just a net negative for these people who had taken a negative position on AMC, and yet that almost near doubling of the short interest change that we saw, the 2.7% that we saw this past weekend, is this a slippery slope to see the margin calls continue to rise up, to see the gods of the short whales, the AMC haters, start to give up their position and say, we take the L. We take that L, and there's not much else we can do. This number has been above 20% for the last few weeks, and just very recently, it has started to dip below, still healthily above 10%. I'm still bullish AF at this idea that even with these shorts covering, that everybody is feeling positive about AMC's price action, so much so that today we had another 7% up, right? As we have 1 more minute until the markets close, 7% up, and giving us another day of green. That's 7 days in a row, day after day of positive daily gains, and another opportunity to take 1450 the day after. And why is that? Well, I'm going to have to wait until the next video that I'm going to create for exactly answering that question. Why is 1458 such an important measurement for AMC? The last minute of AMC's price action is looking like returning back to EMA is certain. However, I don't see that the price action can dip further below the EMA with not enough selling volume. It's just that the bulls are going to be able to control that price action pretty darn well. And as expected, GME is staying above 180. You guys are likely going to have to ask the question of why that is. Luckily, we have an implied volatility implied volatility article here that I'm going to pull up in just a sec. That is giving us a little bit of insight on what is implied volatility. We have had implied volatility like explanations in the past. Implied volatility is surging for GameStop stock options, right? This is from earlier this morning. Implied volatility shows how much movement for market is expected in the future. As we have 180.50 as the closing price for GME, right, that's about 12.87% up on the day, double digits for GME. That's how we can ring the bell. and feel confident doing so. AMC actually did recover pretty well right after the last minute dip. This red candle came back almost all the way up again, closing the day at 1391. That is 7% and change up on the day. Not too shabby, if you say so, if I can say so, as AMC already starts ripping again in the aftermarket. Pay attention, right? Make sure that you have downloaded Webull as an opportunity to be able to take a closer look at AMC and GME during the after hours and pre-market, where we have seen major rips happen before. Right now is an example. Let's see if AMC can take 1458 during the after hours. That would be something. And giving us one last look at implied volatility before we wrap up the big news that you need to be able to understand for these price actions today. What do analysts think? Well, in terms of implied volatility, it's one piece of the puzzle when putting together an options trading strategy. And what I prefer is being able to have a little bit more data with Tiblio. It's a tool that I use in the description down below, or with Option Sonar to just give you guys a better sense of where that option chain lies on a day-to-day basis. Options traders are pricing for a big move on GameStop shares. What is the fundamental picture for the company? Currently, it's exact strength number 3, hold, right? And over the last 60 days, no analysts have increased their earnings estimates for the current quarter, while 4 analysts have revised the estimates downward. So given that way analysts feel about GameStop right now, the huge implied volatility could mean that there's trade developing. Oftentimes, options traders look for options with high levels of implied volatility to sell premium. This is a strategy many seasoned traders use because it captures K. So we're giving a mainstream look for option traders to come in and say doors wide open for GME to capture some serious delta. As we zoom back out, look at the price action for the day. I was even tracking a little bit of where GME was heading off to, but this in the morning, but this is an opportunity for GME to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 180 was the 7th level of resistance that we were able to cross through today alone. So GME had a positive day for the in relationship to the IV, implied volatility rising, as well as the fact that I believe, if you look at Ortex, the hashtag AMC squeeze and people paying attention closely to the 1458 mark, which we're going to talk about in the next video, that caused a lot of downward pressure for the normal downward pressure that would have been for GME to ease up. In fact, we actually, whereas AMC is starting to decrease its short interest change, we are actually seeing some minor increases here for the short interest change on GME here. And of course, the CTB continues to stay below 2%. That means that while the shorts continue to pile up, it's not nearly as much attention as GME gets in the normal day-to-day. So the same villains are still attacking the AMC and the GME brotherhood of the meme stocks. It just so happens that today, there was no major price points that GME was like really looking forward to. That's where it snuck up from the short whales. If you guys like that explanation, guys, make sure that you know apes don't fight apes. We have a clear community here that loves each other, and I want to give you guys the opportunity to take a look at the people that make this. Once again, you can blame me. I just haven't had any time recently to update this, but you will find yourself on these lists by pressing the join button in the description down below, or by going over to Patreon and joining an exclusive Discord, as well as getting an access to my 6-figure trading portfolio on SoFi. So again, thank you guys, and we'll see you in the money.